Okay, now we will see the data section, or we can say dot data section. From the memory layout that we have seen, this is the part where we are talking about dot data section. We will see one by one each of them. Okay, so today we will see only data section part. The standard definition for what goes inside the data section would be all the initialized globals. Initialized globals and your static variables within the body of a function. Static variables within body of function. Okay, this by standard definition, this two only goes in dot data section. Okay, initialized globals and static variables with body of a function. Sorry, within the body of a function. So from our previous basic program that we have seen, so here we can see as per the definition you should go initialized globals. Initialized globals, see here I have int x is equal to 10. It is an initialized and global. Okay, initialized to 10 and this outside of main, so it is an initialized global. Okay, so 10 will go inside dot data section. Other, I will say this static int p is equal to 20. This also is initialized and it's static variable and global, so it will also go in dot data section. So we go further. Here you can see, so we will go further. What other things are there in dot data section? That is static variables within the body of a function. Here I have main function. Okay, so I will go for static variable. Okay, static variable, okay, which initialize, so this also go inside dot data section. Okay, we go further. Here I have function, so here also I have static int l is equal to 200, so this will also go in data section. Okay, I am randomly drawing here dot data section. So what goes inside? First of all 10, so I'm just writing 10 here, then static int, so here 20, then we'll go further. Here static c 50. Okay, here 50. I'm drawing random diagram. Okay, don't take it. So then I have here L 200. Okay, so I'm writing 200 here. Same as different sections are there in the intersection. This values are stored this way. If you are confusing with this thing, that static variables, so I have one technique, not technique, you can say I have one easy thing that you understand easily. The local static variables, think of them as a global variables but accessible only within that particular function. Okay, this terminology will help you to understand this clearly without any confusion. Okay, static variable, think them as a global variable but they are accessible only within the body of a function. So here we have static local variable. Here think this as a global variable but only accessible within that function. Here also I have one static variable. Okay, now you understand. This terminology will help you. Okay, I'm also drawing another diagram for dot data section. Okay, dot data section. So here we also have one part here. We can say RO data. We'll have discussion on this RO data later, but I'm just giving you brief that what is the RO data. Read only data. This is also important. We'll discuss that. Okay, later. So you so think that where this dot data section should be available, because we have RAM, ROM. Okay, where it should be located, in RAM section or in ROM section. RAM and ROM, this is an volatile memory, this is non-volatile. You know basic difference between non-volatile and volatile. Okay, I'm writing this ROM and this as the RAM. Okay, to understand this, that where the data section should be located, we have to reason about this. So we will have our discussion on basis of this, that where I should put my data section, in ROM or in RAM, by considering the requirement, what are things in our data section. Okay, by considering these things, we'll put them in ROM or RAM. Okay, we will have discussion on this. Okay, consider in freestanding environment. In freestanding so you know what freestanding environment I have mentioned previously, and another is hosted environment, in which the OS, operating system, is there. Okay, here, so we are considering freestanding environment. Okay, in which we have microcontroller here. I'm drawing rough diagram, they are easy to understand. Okay, microcontroller here, I have here memory section. Okay, I'm writing there memory section. Okay, in memory section we have these values. Okay, just now I have taken this from that program, basic program. Okay, we have values in this memory section. So consider the case that obviously microcontroller will be restart. Okay, we also have word restart or power cycle. I am mentioning these keywords so you will find them later. Recycled. Okay, power cycled. So this microcontroller have memory, and memory divided in two parts. Again I am drawing that ROM, and here RAM. Okay, so ROM is non-volatile, memory, and this is volatile. What volatile and non-volatile? Volatile means when we power cycle or shut down, we switch off the power supply, the data will be vanished. Okay, and non-volatile, data remains. This is the basic difference. So see for code. Okay, here I have code. So this whole code should go inside which section? In a ROM section or RAM section. If I put in a RAM section, which is volatile, so it will vanish when power cycle, so I don't want that. Okay, so I will put this code, this instruction code, and taking basic program is much more larger. Okay, the main program, so it should not be vanished, so I'm putting that inside here dot text section. In ROM we have dot text section. Okay, we're going to discuss the dot text section also. I'm just taking here the name dot text section. Okay, so I'm putting my program inside this ROM dot text section. Okay, so we have put in the text section that program. So we have final commitment that the code should go and placed in ROM, because every time you power cycle your microcontroller, you don't want the code to be lost. Okay, so I'm putting code here. So now question is, what happened to the values stored in data section? What happened to the values which are stored in this data section? Should they vanish or not? Okay, that's the question. So as soon as microcontroller starts, so we'll see the function, the main function. Here we have the main function. It's a starting function. When microcontroller starts, it starts from this. Okay, in this. So if I write anything regarding this x value, this x, initialize x, I have that value. If I try to print that value, print x, then I can get 10 here. Okay, it means that value of x is still available when I start the microcontroller. Okay, so now question is, how do you ensure that these data values are written? Because you want the initialization data to be available as soon as we start the microcontroller. This is the important part. So what we will do that, so we put this data section, we put the data section in two places. Okay, in the ROM data section. Okay, so we are putting data section RAM and ROM also, because so every time that microcontroller get power cycle, we are assured that data values of these data values are not lost. So they are available in this ROM section. They are copied here to RAM section every time. Okay, we're going to discuss how this taking place. Okay, but now you only think that data section is in both, in ROM also and RAM also. Okay, so we have now reason about why this should be available in ROM, because I don't want my data, these values, to be lost. Okay, so I am putting in ROM, but I have not discussed that why I am putting it here in RAM section also. Okay, we'll have our conversation further. Okay.